kids day to day? I mean, do they have any idea that Dad may have days where he doesn't feel well?
I don't think yet.
No, I don't think so. Not yet. Lindsay might be I mean, she'd be the only one, but she's the oldest. But, you know, I still play with them as much as I would at any time, so I don't think they really know yet.
Now, Sarah, do you have the good fortune of working with Tim?
I do.
And how is he as a client?
Really? He is pretty. He listens when he feels that what I've said to him will work in his schedule.
Oh, really? So what are we unearthing here? That it's Tim's way or the highway?
No. I mean, it's like they both mentioned. They still have a full life, and we see that with people that we see at the clinic. They don't come in and you've been diagnosed with ALS, so boom, life stops, and now you do therapy and you do all this stuff. No, you go on and you go back to work, sometimes the next day, and you just keep going on. So what I try and do is kind of sneak in the therapy and say, okay, so after you get a shower and you're nice and warm, could you stretch? You know, can you?
I see. So in other words, he has homework. He has things he's supposed to be doing every day, and you're not convinced that he's always doing them. Is that correct? We'll go right to the source.
Yeah.
Tim, are you 100% listening to Sarah?
No.
Okay.
No.
But now, what's tough about it? Because you have this full life. You're doing all these other things.
Yeah, nothing's tough about it. It's just the time to do it.
Right.
You know, just as easy it is to take 5–10 minutes out of my day. Sometimes you forget, or you just don't feel like it at that point, and that's what it is.
And like I said, that is completely understandable. And I don't, you know, I like to tease them because that's just how we know that's life.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that. And even at different times, if we say to the spouse, you know, could you stretch them? Well, there's, I know that she doesn't have time to get in there and like give him a physical therapy stretch to his legs. So.
Now, how long is a normal session when you actually go to Sarah, and Sarah now is there saying, you know, you're mine for X amount of time? Is it an hour? How long does it go?
On a good day, it's probably 2.5 to 3 hours.
Wow,
because it's
pretty intensive.
Oh,
yeah.
Wait a minute. You don't just see me.
No, and I was going to say, it's just not Sarah that I see. I mean, there's the team that I see down there. I see Dr. Terry Hyman Patterson, who is my neurologist. So she comes in and does all the regular checkups. I see Sarah. I see a nutritionist that comes in. I see some interns that usually come in and do some tests or. So it's a variety of people that I'll see throughout
like
those 3 hours.
7 people.
That's how, I'm sorry, that's how we set up the clinic, so that he has to come in, and yes, he'll spend like from 9 to 12 with us, but then we don't have to see him again for 3 months. So he has seen the neurologist and the nurse and the respiratory therapist and the physical therapist and the occupational therapist and the speech language pathologist and the nutritionist.
Sounds like a job. You ever feel like they ought to pay you when you go through all this? Well, now when you are just with him, what kind of things do you work through?
I actually don't do the treatment during those visits. What I do my role at the clinic is to be more of a consultant. So as I see each individual every 3 months, I see where are they in this journey.
So you're observing them throughout the entire journey and talking with the folks who are directly administering.
I'm testing him and seeing how he's doing, and then make my recommendations, give my homework.
You adjust the homework and adjust the actual treatment and therapy as needed.
Exactly.
And is this something that could be done without MDA? Would this clinic exist without MDA?
No. I mean, we are it's an MDA ALS, as you heard that whole long name, the MDA ALS Center of Hope at Drexel University College of Medicine was, the clinic was actually started in 1984. So it's been 25 years that we've been helping individuals with ALS, and as you know, a lot with healthcare and everything going on, in 2001 the MDA actually came in and started helping to fund it, and they are not charged for my services. They're not charged for all those people we just mentioned. Well, maybe the doctor. You know, they pay for a doctor visit, and then everyone else comes in to see it. So the MDA that is one piece of what they help provide.
Well, I want to talk more about what goes on at the clinic day to day and what the goals are, and also talk about how you're progressing and moving along and dealing with this. And this, it's very important not to brush over in that long name that Center of Hope is at the center of that name. And there's good reason for that, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. More on ALS and MDA in a moment on In Focus. Stay tuned. Welcome back to In Focus. I'm Steve Highsmith, and this morning we're talking about ALS, and it's obviously known a long time as Lou Gehrig's disease. With me are Tim Heiser, who lives with ALS and supports MDA, his wife Jennifer, and Sarah Feldman, who is with she's a therapist and consultant and big boss at the MDA ALS Center of Hope Clinic at Drexel University School of Medicine. What do you do, supervisor? When we just saw that note about communication there. I guess that's a very important part of family members and friends understanding what you're going through, because people react in all kinds of different ways. Is there sort of a common reaction that you've encountered, Tim?
Yeah, people, I guess, feel sympathetic. When you tell somebody that you usually have ALS, you put the range of usually you're there alive for 3 to 5 years, and I think that hits the people the most. But yet, there's individuals who could go 10, 15, 20 years, but the average is I guess the 3 to 5. So I mean, yeah, people look at you and they want to help out, sympathetic. They try to help, be with you throughout the time and support your family.
Does any of that ever not sit well with you? Or do you pretty much say, no, that's great, thank you?
It's great. No, just getting the support is overwhelming. We belong to a church, and just it spreads. And the amount of people who pray for me on the day-to-day basis, it's overwhelming. And it's just comforting to know that there's so many people out there that care for me.
Do you get the same kind of reaction that Tim gets?
Yes, I do. We have a really good support system, and I think that's what is helping us get through this. Living day-to-day life and knowing that if something, people are willing to take our kids if we need help, or,
And how does that happen? Did you have to work to develop part of that support system, or did it sort of just happen?
I think it fell in our lap, pretty much. I mean, as soon as word got out, people for 3 years we didn't know what was wrong with Tim. So when we told everyone about what happened, it just right away people started calling. What can we do? I'm like, well, nothing's changed. And so that's the thing. Nothing has changed. Like he's still physically able to do everything. I said, just pray for him. And then when things get tough, we will need your help. And that's when I'll be calling everyone saying, can you take my kids? But
well, and now, did anything in your life prepare you for what you didn't expect here, or do you look at how you grew up, or do you look at what you learned in college, or do you look at anything, or is this just like wham, it hit you and you had to adjust?
Yeah, I would say it was a wham, but my mom has muscular dystrophy. She's been in a wheelchair for 10 years. So just having that in the background, knowing the possibility, before I was diagnosed with ALS, to think that I might have had muscular dystrophy, it's always been a thought. So you're not prepared to hear you have ALS, but I think knowing what she's gone through, seeing her throughout life has helped me.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that most of the cases of ALS that are diagnosed, there isn't a known genetic link. I think they call it sporadic, correct? Do they know in your case whether it's the sporadic or whether it's that 5 to 15% that might be genetic?
I would say they don't know at this point. You've got to do all the genetic testings, which I haven't gone through. So,
and I guess the only way that might matter is if depending on what type of cure or treatment they develop, because they might have to approach different ones differently.